So the purpose of the spotlight is very simple. It's a quick snapshot into what are some of the risks and opportunities that we're seeing in different industries. I am joined by Hefni, if you'd allow me to call you that. Hefni, who is the Acting Deputy Director General, R&D for the Malaysian Palm Oil Board. And this session is aptly titled, From Farm to Market, Navigating Growth, Risk, and Accountability. Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a quite nice tete-a-tete. Okay, so taking it from the top, why agribusiness? Why are we talking about palm oil? Well, interesting fact, Southeast Asia produces over 85% of the global supply of palm oil. It is a major vertical. So when we are talking about de-risking, when we're talking about emerging pressures on industry, palm oil is often the first hit in terms of emerging regulation, nature, and we're talking about nature loss, shifting climate. So, Hefni, I've got a very big question to ask. What is the biggest risk facing palm oil today?
Right. Thank you, Belinda. And thank you, UNDP, basically, for inviting me to be one of the panelists for today. So, before I answer your questions, just to inform everyone that, for the percentage that you have mentioned just now, the palm oil basically is a pillar for the Malaysia. And the smallholders, basically 242,000 smallholders, representing around 860,000 hectares, are the pillars for the oil palm industry in Malaysia. So obviously, it's a very, very important sector to Malaysia. And when you said or asked about what are the most important risks or that, evolve around the oil palm ecosystem, I think especially from the perspective of smallholders, first, we have an aging farmers, right? About 40 to 50% of the oil palm smallholders in Malaysia are 50 years old and above. And the industry itself is 109 years old. And we have already entered the fourth generation or the fourth cycle of oil palm planting in Malaysia. So with the aging farmers and a low uptake by the young farmers, so it's a bit difficult for the Malaysian palm oil industry. And on top of that, we also have an aging palms. Right. Some of the palm are already 40 years old, and it's very tall for them to harvest. So and harvesters are very scarce at the moment. So to add further on, in terms of uptake for the machinery, is also very low for the oil palm smallholders. So these are some of the things or some of the issues that we have at the moment. And because in average for oil palm smallholders in Malaysia, they only have around 3.9 hectares, and the income is not really, if they don't have fixed income. So in order to replant, they need some funding, right? But the bank cannot give them funding because they don't have any fixed income. So this is where the government comes in. I will talk later about that as well. On top of that, we also have climate change, unpredictable weather. So they also play some roles as well in the oil palm industry for the smallholders, and the price volatility as well. Because for the smallholders, if they don't go under any cooperative, then the mill will give them quite a low price for them. So, that's why we have established around 70 cooperative in order for the farmers to go in as a part of the cooperative member and to get a better price. So these are some of the issues.
Hello. You've described quite a few issues. Okay, so I count aging farmers. The palm industry is 109 years old, low uptake by the youth, aging palms, access to markets from the smallholders, climate change shifting those seasonal patterns. So having that fixed income is an issue. Now, a number of intersecting challenges. You have a bird's eye view of the entire value chain, right? From the smallholders, which you've spoken a little bit about, but also from the larger companies. Who needs support and from whom? Because there's a number of things that need to be fixed there from a human rights lens and a climate lens. So who needs support and from whom?
All right. This is a very fundamental and important question for us. We've been asking before, since actually before EUDR, we've been asking who needs support, all right? Because the smallholders, because the government of Malaysia is actually would like to maintain the forest, about 50% forest, okay? So the oil palm industry is expanding, and we have a lot of smallholders, within the 2.9 acres. So first place, who needs support? They are smallholders, because the industry itself, last year, we have around, the export value is about 20 billion US dollar. Right, so this goes to the estate. Most of the what I call in terms of monetary value goes to the estate. So the smallholder left to fill in the gaps actually. So in terms of the support that you asked just now, the government actually give a lot of support to smallholders, particularly for the replanting. In 2024, the government gave around 20 million US dollar for replanting. Last year, $50 million for replanting, and this year again, $20 million. And then the government also gave an incentive for the smallholders to create a cooperative. So right now, we have around 70 cooperatives all around the countries. And last year, the business that they got around 400 million ringgit, which is around 30 to 14 million US dollar. So these are the incentives that we give. But whether we are right to give incentive or subsidize the smallholders, to us, it's not a problem because we get the money back through the cess that the MPOB is collected, and also through the tax as well. Then through this initiative and incentive, and the money that we got back, then we give back to the smallholders.
So you raise an interesting point, right? So government is trying to incentivize and provide some support to smallholders through these incentives. I wonder what the responsibility of large corporations is as well, because they do also engage with smallholders. So what is the business responsibility as well to this group that is facing intersecting challenges?
Right, yes. In the MPOB, we have what we call extension officer. But we only have 300 extension officers to cover these 242,000. So we are not enough in terms of capacity.
So 300?
To cover 242,000.
Okay, I'm trying to do the math. So 300 extension officers, and I'm looking at my colleague Harpreet, who's much better at math than me. So 300 extension officers to cover 242,000 cooperatives.
Yes.
Wow, okay.
So we need help. So this is where the large industry players, for example, SD Guthrie, FGV, they come to help us. How do they come to help us? In order to get those smallholder to produce their oil palm sustainably. First of all, in order to to get Malaysian sustainable palm oil certification, because the EU they have acknowledged MSPO equivalence to compliance to EUDR. Okay, and also this large company also helping the smallholders in terms of addressing the climate change issue. Because we have some issues that related to climate change. For example, the outbreak of pests and diseases. So they came first, and they are trying, because their palm plantation also been affected, and the surrounding area where the smallholders plants their palms also affected. So they're not only addressing the issue in their own plantation, but they're also addressing the issues surrounding their plantations, right? And many smallholders also send their fruits to the mill owned by these large companies. So normally, in order to sell to EU or to anywhere in the world, the market, the smallholders need also to comply, for example, to EUDR. So this large company basically assisting the smallholder to get a very sustainable practice.
Okay, so here I'm taking capacity building for EUDR. Now, just a quick show of hands, because we've said EUDR a number of times. How many people know what EUDR is in the room? Okay, one more time. Okay, so most of the rooms, so the EU deforestation regulation. So basically, and this is so that we're all on the same page. And, you know, as Malaysia and Southeast Asia is one of the biggest producers of palm oil, the deforestation regulation is critical. So big companies are helping smallholders comply. Interesting. And
yes.
How has that relationship been so far, if you don't mind me asking?
It's very good, actually, because they know that within their own plantation, it's not enough for them to supply to their customer. They need the help from the smallholder. They need the fruits from the smallholders. So, so they have to equip the smallholders with the good agriculture practices, you know, with the what you call just now capacity building, you know, how to adapt with the current world of businesses. So we always, in MPOB, we always say to smallholders, you cannot be under your own umbrella now. You have to be exposed. You need to know about EUDR. You need to know about MSPO. You need to know about everything that falls under the palm oil businesses.
Fantastic. And you've already preempted the last question. So maybe for the next 8 minutes, we'll take questions from the floor. Anybody with burning questions? Oh, there's one question at the back. Izati, can you help us with the mic? Another question, we can take it in turns. So question 1 here, question 2, and there's question 3 right at the back.
Thank you. Thank you for the discussion just now. I'm just curious, you mentioned just now about MSPO, and I'm just curious, like, what's the main difference between MSPO and RSPO, because there's already the well-established global standards on RSPO. So my question is more of like, what was the need for MSPO, and probably also what are the key differences between the two? Thank you.
And maybe we'll take, that's a very good question. We'll take the other 2 as well so that we can take it in one go.
Maybe before I forgot, I just, very swift reply, actually. Very swift reply. MSPO is mandatory mandatory since 2020, whereas RSPO is by voluntary. That's the most obvious differences. In terms of the criteria of MSPO and RSPO, RSPO I would say more stringent to MSPO. Yeah. Is that okay for the swift feedback?
Okay. I have a follow-up question. You said more stringent, how? Now I have questions.
Well, we have in terms of the traceability for the RSPO, I would say that MSPO, we are still we are still in progress. For example, this year we have a mandatory process whereby all the collection center, they must obtain the MSPO certifications so that we know who sent the fruits to that particular collection center. Whereby the RSPO, I think the traceability across the value chain already established.
Okay. Oh, very swift answer. And traceability is something that we'll hear a little bit more about, as well as voluntary versus mandatory measures. There were two other hands very quickly, and I'm avoiding the gaze of my team because they keep pointing to time. Okay. I think we had one question from over here.
Yes.
Support the smallholder farmers how do cooperatives support smallholder farmers in terms of their human rights and become thereby compliant with human rights due diligence reporting requirements?
All right, so as I mentioned just now, we have 70 cooperative, and within this cooperative, only around 10,000 out of that 262,000 smallholders became the cooperative members. But the most important thing I see is many of these cooperative members are women. Yeah, and some of their what I call running the cooperative are from women. I don't have the numbers in terms of men and women or the what I call gender numbers, but I will see in particular, they became the chairman of the cooperative. Some of the women became the what I call active members, supporting the cooperative. Not only in terms of business, because it's already become a community. That's, I think, the most important thing. When it becomes a community, then a lot of activities will be based surrounding the cooperative. I think that's what I see. And we are really, really pushing forward with this idea of cooperative, because not only they have a very small community, but they also gain some money because of these dividends. And for cooperative, their average dividend is 15%. So it's quite a lot.
Actually, maybe just to add to Anna's question there, you mentioned before that bigger companies are helping with reporting, right? So on EUDR, CS3D, etc. Perhaps something to think about is also how bigger companies can also support the cooperatives on human rights and kind of help the smallholders be able to report on human rights risks.
So far, we don't have any engagement between the large company and also the cooperative, but we have engagement with the NGOs. NGOs now are looking forward to collaborate with the cooperative. For example, we have Earthworm Foundations, we have the European Forest Institute Foundation, NGOs. So it's interesting because in order to cater these 262,000 smallholders, we have established what we call Sustainable Palm Oil Cluster, SPOC. 162 SPOC. So for one SPOC there are around 2 to 3,000 farmers. Okay, so many of the SPOC already been engaged with NGOs. So now whoever NGOs coming to me, I will say, hey, why not you go to cooperative? Yeah, stay there.
Yeah, so actually having stakeholder engagement between the cooperatives, NGOs, and MPOB. Okay, got it. We've got time for one final question. There we go.
I'm Kate from Thailand. Actually, I have two questions, but let's start with the first question that's already partially answered. So apart from EUDR, have you been concerned with like a CSDDD and EU Forced Labor Act? And my second question is what is the role of academic sector in your industry? Have there been cooperation with the academic sector? That would be my questions. Thank you.
Sorry, can you repeat the second question?
The role of academic sector, universities, apart of NGOs, have you been working with academics?
Yes. Actually, one of the roles of MPOB is to do R&D. But because we have got the SaaS from the industry, so we need to deliver at least, the technology that already can be used by the industry, okay? So the fundamental study, we engage with the universities. That's the most important thing. So that our MPOB and the university, particularly the local university, we don't do the same activities, waste of resources or waste of money. So, and then when we have this fundamental collaboration with the university, so that we speed up the process of technology takers in MPOB. The first question is?
So the first question is, aside from the EU deforestation regulation, are you also engaging with the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, CES3D?
All right. I'm not an expert, but I would say that MPOB, we are just one agency under the Ministry of Plantation and Commodity. So the overall engagement in terms of the CSR, EUDR as well, and also any other sustainability efforts, it will come from the ministry, right?
Alrighty, I saw the 1 minute mark. So just want to quickly wrap up what we've heard. I mean, we've heard basically that there are lots of issues, intersecting issues facing the palm oil industry, from aging populations, aging plants, a need for new machinery, climate change, changing weather patterns, market access, etc. We spoke a little bit about mandatory versus voluntary measures, and this is a nod to the next session that's going to look at mandatory due diligence and ESG. And I think the key message here is collaboration. Collaboration between business and cooperatives, collaboration between government and smallholders, and also with NGOs and academia. Anything to add, Hefni?
Yes, I think for the last, how many years, the oil palm industry always been associated with deforestations. So basically, I think we have done a lot. Right now, in EUDR term, we are still risk. I can't remember what risk is it. I think for the past 10 years, the oil palm industry have been doing a lot of sustainability program. So we hope that the EU as well, that's why I like this engagement, so that I can convey this message, so that I would like for everyone in the world basically to have a look and notice we have done a lot of sustainability and addressed a lot of deforestation issue. We are committed to have a 50% forest. And then basically we are also helping the smallholders farmers to get their family or to basically to get a potential for them to go forwards.
Lovely, thank you. And with that, a big round of applause, please.